our bio for the full experience of the Zoom call, or there is a Zoom meeting ID in a previous story. But if you prefer Instagram Live, that is also great. If you have a question on the Instagram Live, feel free to just leave it as a comment and we'll get to it when we can. And our
That's
Zoom
great.
We're good.
We're good. Okay. So I've also recorded, and we'll add that to our YouTube channel so everyone can watch it later on demand if they'd like. But let's jump in. We're talking registration. Registration opens June 1st, which we are so excited about. So June 1st, Sarah, I'll ask you a few questions to get us started. So where could someone go to register? Like, where do they need to find a link, and how do they register? What does that look like? Could you tell us more about that process?
So there are two links you can go to register for recruitment. The first, you can go to samford.mycampusdirector2.com. You can go there to register, or you can go to our main Greek Life website, which is samford.edu/GreekLife, and you can register there by clicking on the link that says Join Chapter. That tab, go there, and it'll pull up the application to register for recruitment. And so once you go and click the link, it will show a form where you just go answer all the questions, upload the documents that it needs, and that's how you will register.
Okay, you mentioned uploading things and answering questions. So for all of the ladies watching, what do they need to have prepared when they sit down at a computer to register? Can you tell us about that?
You will need your high school resume. So all your leadership and social involvement, include it all on your resume. You'll need an unofficial transcript, which you can get from your high school. If you don't already have it, contact the guidance counselor and they can get it to you. You'll need a headshot and payment. So you'll need the $75 payment for the June 1st. So, and it's not a long application to register. If you have all of those things ready to go, it shouldn't take you more than 15 to 20 minutes. We want to make it as easy as possible for you guys.
Yes, and just a note on the headshot. This is just something picky that I was a recruitment chair last year. So as a recruitment chair, I saw a lot of this, and it's better if it goes another way. So some people for their headshots would submit a selfie, which we love selfies. I mean, I probably have 100 on my camera roll, we all take selfies. But it's better if you use a professional headshot. It can be your senior photo, or if you've gotten like a headshot done in the past, or even like you can go in the backyard and get a friend to take a picture of you, whatever. Let's just try to stray away from selfies and go towards something a little bit more professional.
Think like waist up, headshot.
All right, those are great points. So Bailey, the next set of questions are for you, and most of these are all around the resume. So chapters will be looking at resumes, and so we want to really help the women going through the process feel confident in what they submit. So resume, leadership, involvement, like what does that look like? Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, okay, so on your resume, we're not expecting it to be something that is like you're going to apply for a job. Greek Life is not a job. So just have what you were involved in high school. If you're involved in these sports or clubs or after school programs, or if you did like vacation Bible school, things you volunteered in, not necessarily classes that you took because that's going to be included on your transcript, but like if you were on student council or you were class president or whatever you were involved in high school that you were proud of and that would kind of set you apart from others, that's what you need to include. So we're thinking leadership, involvement, social activities, or hobbies.
Okay, that's really great. But what about someone who might be seeing photos start to pop up on resumes? Should they include their photo on their resume? What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think it's totally up to you. I personally don't include mine on my resume just because I want what's on paper to say that about me instead of like my photograph, but if you want to include your photograph on your resume, by all means, please include it. If it goes with like your scheme that you're going for, then include it. But it's totally your call.
Bailey, is there a length that chapters are looking for when it comes to a resume? How many pages do you think someone?
I would try to stick to 1 page. Really anything that is going to be, people don't really have time. Like there's a lot of people applying or registering for recruitment, probably over 400 people. So to go through all of those resumes that are like 3 pages long, that's going to be too much. So let's try to keep it to a page.
That's really good advice. Okay, what about information on a resume about parents or legacy status? Maybe they have information about their mom, grandmother, being in a Greek community before them. So what about parents or legacy status should be included on their resume?
So I personally don't think you should include anything about your parents on your resume. You are the one going through recruitment, not your parents. So let's keep it about you. Also, if you are a legacy, I would not include that on your resume because chapters are going to be looking at that. So let's say you were a legacy for chapter ABC, but chapter XYZ was looking at your resume and saw, oh, well, she's a legacy for ABC. She probably doesn't want to go XYZ. So it's just best to keep it off your resume because all chapters will see that. You can list legacy status in your registration form, which only the office at Greek Life will have access to.
Right. So that's something that we encourage so that if you're a legacy for that chapter, only that chapter knows, and that's only to enhance your experience during the Samford recruitment process. It never should be something to take away from your process. So that is something we encourage to leave off that legacy status from your resume. Okay, last question about resumes. Bailey, you said you were recruitment chair last year. And so you know firsthand, how does a chapter utilize their resume so that the women coming through can know what chapters are looking for?
Yeah, so as a recruitment chair, normally there is a team, and the team consists of a recruitment chair and some people who are behind the scenes. And these people look at your resume and they match it. We have these things called matchers, and you match it to people who are in the chapter. So we want to ensure, in all recruitment chairs from all sororities want to ensure that you're being matched with the best person to talk to in that house. So if you played volleyball in high school or something like that, that's just a random example, then they might match you with someone who also played volleyball in high school. So it's something common that you can talk about. That's why we have the resume. That's why it's important that you list kind of the activities that you were involved in and the things that you did, so we can ensure that when you go into a house, you have something to talk about with that person.
That's great. So chapters use it to get to know the P&Ms a little bit more, but also to help facilitate really quality conversations with those sisters in the houses.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Anything else about resume that we might have missed?
I think just keep it simple and to the point. Maybe don't overwhelm people with it. I think the most straightforward resumes are the best ones. So make it straightforward, simple, but also make it professional.
If you're worried about the one-page link to it, you can easily play with the margins, play with the spacing. You can squeeze it in to fit to a page for sure.
And there's also really awesome templates online that you can find, even like going to Google and searching in like Greek resume or just like high school resume or something like that. There's amazing templates that you can use to kind of model yours after.
That's awesome. Okay, Sarah, you're up. So you mentioned uploading a transcript. What if some of the women watching don't have their high school transcript yet? Where would they get that? Can you tell us more about the unofficial transcript?
Yes, so your high school will still have that, so you can contact your guidance counselor, whoever that point touch-up person is at the high school, and they can get that for you. It kind of varies the process for every school of how you can get it, because you can do an email copy or a mail-in copy, so you can just kind of talk to them and they will definitely be able to get you your copy of your transcript.
Great. So even if maybe someone doesn't have a printer, they could take a screenshot of their transcript and upload that. Would that work?
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. So I think another question that people ask often as they're coming through the recruitment process is about GPA. And what does that look like through the recruitment process? How do chapters look at GPAs and make evaluations about the women going through the process? So Sarah, can you tell us more about GPA and how that might impact a woman's experience for recruitment?
Yes. So at Samford, within Greek Life, we do recommend having a GPA of 3.0 or higher. However, we do not have a requirement. But once you get into a chapter, if you go through formal recruitment, chapters will have a GPA requirement that you will have to stick to throughout your membership. So once you start going through recruitment, every chapter has kind of a process of GPA requirement, and they break it into 3 different zones. So the green zone is if your GPA is a 3.3 and above, you're great, you're good. The yellow is kind of if it's a 3.0 to 3.29. And then the red zone is where your options can start getting limited if your GPA is a 2.99 or below. So that's just us being as honest as we possibly can.
So Sarah, I know that someone watching might not have a 3.0. Does that mean she would not get a bid? Is that what that means?
Absolutely not.
So someone who might not have a 3.0 or even who doesn't have a 3.3, that doesn't mean that you're ineligible. We don't have a requirement. But what it does mean is that chapters, when making their selections of who to invite back for each round, might make some decisions based off of GPA. So just know that we want to be transparent. That does not mean that having a 4.0 will be a guarantee to a bid, and then someone who has below a 3.0 won't get a bid. So we've seen all varieties of situations happen. So we just want to be help you be prepared and know that that women in the chapters will be looking at your GPA.
And just a note on that, definitely if you have below, or if you're in that yellow zone or red zone, do not let it deter you from registering for recruitment, because we totally understand, and I know the recruitment cheers understand that things happen. I mean, things have happened these past couple of months, and online school could be really hard for some people. I mean, it was difficult for me. It was not my thing. So we understand if if your GPA dropped, there's so many different circumstances that could have happened, and you can just completely redeem yourself in college. So again, do not let it deter you, but this is just, again, we want to be as completely transparent with you as possible that a 3.0 is kind of,
and your GPA is not your only.
That's right.
You can have, your GPA is one part. You'll have all the rest that you're involved in. A lot of honors classes, those are really hard.
yes.
And a lot of people don't get A's in those. Your GPA is not going to be perfect.
Exactly.
That's great. So chapters are really looking for that well-rounded woman. They're looking for their involvement, their leadership. Yes, they want women who care about their grades, who are going to work hard in the classroom, but then also work hard outside of the classroom and get involved. They're looking to see if they can have a lot of potential in how they're going to contribute to their chapter. So y'all had really great points. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Bailey. I know a lot of people are wondering. We haven't gotten any questions about it in the chat just yet, but we're helping everybody out. Rec letters. I know folks typically ask about rec letters. So first question about rec letters. Do the women going through need to upload a rec letter? How does that work? Can you tell us more?
So how rec letters work. I remember when I went through recruitment, I was totally confused about this. So you can contact an alum in your community who was a member of a chapter that is at Samford. So let's use FIME for example. So if you want to get a rec letter, or you know someone that was a FIME, and you want to get a rec letter from them, you just say, hey, like, do you mind writing me a letter of recommendation from you? I'm going through recruitment at Samford, and I would love if you wrote one for me. So you ask an alum in your community, or not even in your community, just someone that you may know. Then they can submit it online or through mail. Most of the sororities at Samford prefer online submission just because it's easier.
Yeah, very good.
You
So
do not submit the letter. You ask someone in the chapter to submit the letter.
Okay, great. So where's the did you tell them about our website with the FAQ and drop down?
Yeah, okay, so the best, like I said or mentioned before, the best way to submit a letter of recommendation, so when this alum who's writing the letter of recommendation asks you, how should I submit it? You say you can go to the Samford Greek Life website, and there is an FAQ section under recruitment, and there they have all of the email addresses that they could send it to, the website links that they could send it to, the addresses that they could mail it to. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but chapters at Samford do prefer to have their letters of recommendation emailed to them or submitted online, because mail can be kind of hard, especially with you may not have access to like the mailbox that you would submit to right now. So just kind of submitting it online is the best way to go at the moment.
Okay, Bailey, I see a live question about rec letters in the chat. So tell us when rec letters are due. When would we ask women to have rec letters in to us?
I think a safe bet is by the first day of recruitment when that starts. Just because you're not really going to be thinking about it during recruitment week. There's technically no due date, but I think a safe, flexible date is going to be the first day of recruitment.
Okay, that's great. So first day of recruitment, and some of that is so the chapters have time to review those recommendation letters before they get to meet you in person during the process. Okay, great. So let's see, is there a time that's too early to submit a rec letter? No, there's not, right? So could someone start submitting a rec letter?
Oh my gosh, yes. I have gotten so many emails already from people who have asked about letters of recommendation, so it's never too early. Go ahead and ask the alums in your community or the people that you know to start submitting your rec letters. And we also have a question on the Instagram Live. Where do we submit our applications to apply for Greek Life?
It says where?
Yes.
Okay, you got two options for that. You can go to either the Samford Greek Life website, which is samford.edu/GreekLife, and you'll click on the Join a Chapter tab, and it will pull up the whole form, and you can fill it out, put all the documents, resume, transcript, statement, headshot, all of that in there. Or you can go to samfordpanhellenic.mycampusdirector2.com and fill out the form there. So,
and we can put both of those links in our Instagram bio. Our Instagram is Samford Panhellenic, so that'll be easy access. So on June 1st, if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to go, you can just go to our Instagram bio, click the link tree, and you'll find it there.
There's another question.
Good question.
Where
will we submit our application?
Is that what I just answered?
No, but it's the same question. So again, just go to the link in our bio, and you can find both of the links there, and you'll submit it through those.
Okay, so what if someone is hesitant to register right now? We're open for registration June 1, but recruitment is not until September. So Bailey, Sarah, what do y'all think about telling advice to someone who is not sure if they want to go through recruitment?
You know what? From my personal experience, I say go for it just because it's changed my life. But you may not feel the same way. So if you want someone to talk to about it, you can email me. My email is on the Samford Greek Life website. So please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about it. And even after we talk, you still don't feel like it's the right time, then that's totally fine. Registration fee increases on July 1st. It increases to $100. So if you're kind of like skeptical about it, you think you may go ahead and do it, I would go ahead and do it before July 1st just because you'll save $25. But with that being said, registration for recruitment, I think, closes
September. I think it's the 3rd. We'll confirm. It's on our website. I know that. I can double check.
You have until September to register. So no stress now if you're just not feeling it. But again, if you need someone to talk to, you can talk to me about it. You can email me, or we can even like exchange phone numbers and we can text about it. Anything's good. Or FaceTime.
We love
open.
FaceTime
Yes.
right now. There's another question that says, can recommendation letters be submitted through the national chapter website?
Yes. So those chapter websites will be found on the Samford Great Life website. That is a great way to submit recommendation letters. And the person writing you the letter of recommendation should know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ann Lawton. Hi, Ann Lawton. She asked a question, which I'm sure a lot of folks are wondering. When it comes to recommendations, should you have one for every chapter, or how many per chapter? What do you have to say about that?
That is an amazing question. You do not have to have one for every chapter. It's not a requirement at all. If you are going to have one for every chapter, let's say I wouldn't go above 2. I think 1 is a safe bet. You only really need 1 letter of recommendation. After that, like, you don't need 6 letters of recommendation for a single chapter. Like, that's maybe a little excessive. So let's just try to stick with 1 or 2 if you're gonna go for that. Yeah. But again, not required at all.
Bailey, did you have a recommendation letter for every chapter when you went through?
I did not have a letter of recommendation for every single chapter that I went through. And I think I had the most letters of recommendation I had for each chapter was 2. And my sorority recruitment experience was great. Literally I could not have had a better experience. So and I think I went to one of the chapters that I didn't have a letter of recommendation for on prep. So again, like, it doesn't really matter that much.
I see another question about what to share with the alumni who's writing the recommendation letter. So likely you should share a photo with them and their resume. Is there anything other than a photo and a resume needed?
So when I had alums write my letters of recommendation, and different chapters require different things. So I know some chapters require test scores and stuff like that, or if you were a legacy at another chapter. So it really just depends chapter to chapter, but I think a safe bet is include a photo. I remember I had some senior pictures printed off, and then I printed off my resume and I put it in a manila envelope and stuck it in their mailbox so they could have it. So I think a picture and a resume is probably a safe bet.
There's another question on the Instagram that says, are the costs that are listed on the website estimate of everything, or is that the base cost, if that makes sense?
That's pretty accurate. So chapter presidents and chapter treasurers submitted financial information. So if you're wondering how much a chapter sorority membership dues.
Our Zoom just froze. Give us a second. But yes, so to answer your question, those are pretty accurate on the website. They could be subject to
cost and what that looks
like. Yes, it just refreshed. But it could be subject, those costs could be subject to change in the next couple of weeks or months. We really don't know. But for the most part, those are pretty accurate.
At the moment, that's the standard of what they're going to be.
So that's what you should aim for.
And I don't see them increasing. I would only see them decreasing due to these strange times.
So they won't increase, most likely. If anything, they'll decrease. So.
Here's another question that says, are there scholarships for being in a sorority?
Yes. Okay. So when you join a sorority at the beginning, there aren't really scholarships for new members. But once you're an initiated member, there are scholarship opportunities offered. I think they start being offered later first semester or second semester. So you definitely have opportunities to there's multiple opportunities. There's a ton of Greek life scholarships.
You can even go to the Samford.edu/Greek life and go to scholarships, and you can see a lot of the ones that are offered through there as well.
There's a ton. So there's not really one to like get you started, but once you're in the sorority and you're an initiated member, then you have a ton of opportunities to apply for different scholarships. That's a great question.
Okay, that is great. I'm glad y'all shared about scholarships. I know Panhellenic has scholarships, and then the Office of Greek Life has scholarships. So there are available scholarships for folks to apply for, and all of that information is on the website. I put in the chat, it's samford.edu/Greek life and then /scholarship. So there is a scholarship tab that should have everything. Okay, so I see a few more questions here. Sarah and Bailey, talk to us about maybe yourself, your experience, or even your friends in sororities. Tell us about their experience being in a sorority and also maybe working at the same time. Do they have enough time to balance that? How does that work?
It's totally doable.
Yeah, I mean, I can just personally speak on my experience. I am an active member of my chapter. I served on the executive board last year, so I started on it for the 2019 year. I was the recruitment chair for my sorority. And I nannied part-time 3 days a week, and I had a job on the weekends. So I love to stay busy. So again, like totally doable. There's so many people across all Panhellenic sororities that have jobs. It's honestly like a great way to earn a little extra money. And if you are in the situation where you are paying for your sorority dues, there's so many opportunities, just even on Samford's campus, to get involved in a job. You can even work for the Office of Greek Life as a student worker. So
That's right. Yes, we have job opportunities in our office, or I can help you get plugged into student jobs on campus, maybe working for student involvement or the library or campus rec. So a student job on campus and elsewhere in the city is definitely doable, and you can make it happen. You just have to prioritize your classes and works, but it's possible for sure. Okay, let's see. Do y'all have any on the Instagram? I see a few more questions coming my way. Okay, what do y'all have?
Is rushing, bid day, and pledging going to look different this year because of coronavirus? Most likely, yes.
Probably.
We have mapped up a few different plans. We are talking to the recruitment chairs next week and just kind of going to talk through some things with them to see what their perspective is on some of the changes that we're considering implementing. But we also have to talk with Samford's board and the people, like the big people at Samford, to make sure that they're okay with all the changes that we're going to be doing. But also, we don't really know exactly what school's going to look like in the fall yet. At the moment, it's completely normal, like it's so regular. So we're planning on changing a little bit, but for the most part, recruitment's going to look very similar to what it did look like.
Our goal is to make it as normal and safe for everybody involved that we possibly can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think safety being number one priority, and then an opportunity to connect in person. So we will provide that no matter what.
Exactly.
Good question. All right, let's see. For the transcript, when we upload it online, do we register and mail it in? So the transcripts you'll upload in just like you were uploading anything like a photo to change your profile. Just like you would upload a picture, you would upload a transcript, so it could be a PDF or it might be able to be a JPEG. It should say what it should be, but when you're uploading that transcript, you can do it yourself. So it's not a mail in to us or to anyone else. So you need an electronic transcript.
Right, and even too, you could, I don't know a lot of high schools that would send it through the mail, but if that did happen, then I'm sure you could probably just scan it in and upload it. But I would, when you're asking for your transcript, ask for it an electronic version, just so it's easy upload.
They should offer that because it's the easiest way. We have another question. It says, how many days will recruitment last?
Recruitment should last about a week. So again, we're just trying to figure everything out right now. But around a week, and recruitment's normally a week, so it'll be around the same time period.
We have a question that says, if we have our official transcript, should we use that or still use our unofficial?
Either one's great. Just give us what you have.
That's right. Okay, so for everyone, I did include the finances link in the chat. It has an overview and range for every chapter, but then there's also a link where you can see the breakdown of every chapter's finances. Just click on that financial transparency document. Okay, one more question. What if someone doesn't know someone to ask about a recommendation? What should they do?
You know what? There's a ton of people that, like, you could even ask a friend, be like, hey, do you know someone that is a Zeta that was a Zeta that could write me a letter of recommendation? I'm sure that they would be happy to. Or I've seen people post on like Facebook and be like, I need a letter of recommendation for this chapter. Can someone do it? Like, you never know who is in a sorority. So I think it's definitely possible to find someone, but again, don't stress if you can't. I didn't have a letter of recommendation for every chapter. It's not a requirement, so no worries.
That's good. I think posting on Facebook, maybe using you posting, maybe a parent posting, even using a family friend or aunt to post. Like, I think Facebook network is a great place to start. And then there's also the alumni Panhellenics. So for example, Birmingham Panhellenic has an opportunity for you to say, hey, I'm going to Samford and I'm looking for a recommendation from these chapters. So that's also an opportunity that you could seek out.
Yes.
Let's see. Do we need to include test scores on our resume?
No.
Not a requirement. We don't ask for that.
If you're proud of them, then include them. I personally was not proud of mine, so I did not.
Okay, so everyone has gotten registered. They've uploaded their photo, their resume, transcripts, and they've paid the fee. So they are fully complete and registered. Now what? What should they do?
Well, you can work on letters of recommendation. So work on getting those. I suggest, again, this is just a personal experience / opinion. When you ask someone for a letter of recommendation, it's probably best, like, I would call the person, or if I saw them in person, I would ask them or text them or whatever, and be like, hey, do you mind writing me a letter of recommendation for whatever chapter? And I would send them I printed it off and dropped it off at their house just for convenience, my resume and a picture. And then a week later, I wrote a thank you note and I mailed that to them. And the thank you note is it's a thank you, but it's also a bit of a reminder if they haven't done it yet. It's like, instead of asking, have you written my letter of recommendation yet? It's kind of just like, thank you so much for writing it. Even if they haven't written it, that's a reminder, oh, like, I've got to write that. So
it's good.
Resume, picture, and then a thank you note to follow.
You know, Bailey, you said something which made me remember that once you do register, you will be able to log back in, and there's a tab that lets you check back in on your recommendation. So as chapters get recommendations, for example, if you are looking for an ADPI recommendation and an AOPI recommendation, you'll be able to see those and if they're checked or not. If you're not looking for them, then great, they won't be checked. But that way you can keep up with what recommendations you should see, the check boxes for. And it'll just be one check box. So if you have more than one recommendation letter going to the chapters, again, that's not needed. But if you do, then you'll just get one checkbox that the chapters received it.
We have a question on Instagram Live that says, do we have classes during recruitment, and what does that look like?
Yes.
Yes, you will have classes during recruitment. And it is important that, I mean, classes will still be kind of in that getting to know each other mode, but you will have homework and you might have a test. I mean, I don't really know what classes are going to look like. I don't remember. I mean, that was for seniors now, I guess. So that was 3 years ago for us. So it's kind of hard to remember.
I remember the week of recruitment.
Was it hard?
I remember going. So recruitment is not until the evening time, so like 4:30-ish till later. And so I would get out of class around 11:30, and I remember going to sit in the library, and I would read my CP book, sitting in the library to stay on top of it. And so it was definitely doable. Classes are not super hard at this point.
And two professors understand, like, you're going through recruitment, but at the same time, do not put off your work. It is so important.
School comes first.
Put school first.
Put school first, seriously. But you just need to make sure you're using your time wisely. But yes, you will have this during recruitment week.
Yes. Typically we'll be in recruitment week, the third week of classes, but you won't be in a recruitment event every single night, every single hour from 6 to 10. So you'll have a schedule that might say an event here, and then you have an hour break, and then another event, and then you might have a day off. So your schedule will be unique to you, and your roommate, for example, might have a totally different schedule, and that's okay.
I remember last year, I served on the Panhellenic exec last year as well, and so I would sit outside during recruitment, and I was over a lot of the traffic control. And so between parties, I would sit on the bench and do my homework, and some of the PNMs would come and sit with me, and we would all be doing our homework. So it's just, you make time for it the week of recruitment, for sure. For sure.
Okay, any final questions before we share some resources? I know we want to remind some folks of information and update spots that they can check out.
Also, Instagram Live, if y'all have any questions, you can leave them as a comment, or there's like a little question box. And
There's one.
We just got one. So what will recruitment look like as a transfer student?
Okay.
If you are transferring to Samford, I think we
just need to make sure that they did not initiate a sorority.
So you are, let's say you initiated as a CIO at Florida State. I don't know, that's random. But let's say you are initiated as a CIO at Florida State. Then since you are initiated as a CIO, you can't go Zeta at Samford. Like, that's not allowed. You could go CIO at Samford because you were already an initiated CIO.
That's right.
The recruitment process to do that. But if you are a transfer student and you have not been initiated at any other chapter, then you will go through recruitment just like anyone else. And there's a spot for that when you're registering for recruitment. It'll ask about that. So it'll look pretty much the same as anyone else's experience.
Yeah, that's great. Bailey, what's the best place for women on this Zoom or watching later, or even on Instagram Live? Where should they check out the best information out there to learn more about Greek life at Samford and the sorority recruitment process?
So there's a couple of places that I suggest you just involving yourself in or looking at. So first of all, Samford Greek Life website. There's so many resources on that website. Literally any question that you have is probably answered there already. So finances, dates, like what's a ROGAM, what's a PNM, recruitment chairs, who are they? There's so many resources on the Samford Greek Life website, so definitely check that out. Also, there's this thing called guidebook. So a guidebook is what you'll use during the week of recruitment to leave your party schedule and things like that. It's just, there's a lot of information on there. You can go ahead and download that. I think it's the Samford Guides app.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Samford Guides is what you would type into your app store or whatever the other option is for Android, but Samford Guides is what you're looking for.
And then once you download the Samford Guides app from the App Store, you will type in sorority recruitment 2020, I believe it is.
That's right. Samford Sororities 2020.
Samford Sororities 2020. So you'll click, I think, subscribe or join or something of that nature, and you'll be included.
That's right.
And then, so we have the Samford Greek Life website and Samford Guides. And then another resource that I suggest you looking at is follow all of the social media. I know that sounds like such a shameless plug, but I mean, it's not even shameless. Like, I'm like, you need to follow it. So, Samford Panhellenic, which is our Instagram. Samford Greeks, which is like Greek Life as a whole Instagram. Also, I suggest you follow all of the Panhellenic sororities. And if you go to like our last post on Samford Panhellenic's Instagram, they're all tagged. So you can just go through and follow them. And they're also fun to look at. So go and stalk them. I mean, why not?
We have one question. It says, what if I have class during the late afternoon that will run into time for recruitment?
Great question. So we will work around it. You will tell your row gamma. So your row gamma is your kind of like big sister during the process. She's there for you. Yeah, your go-to person there for you during all the rounds to answer all your questions, things like that. So you would tell your row gamma, be like, oh no, I have a conflict, and we will get it figured out. So just let us know.
Please don't skip class.
Do not skip class.
No.
Yes, do not skip class again. Scholarship comes first. We will make sure that you have the best schedule for you as possible.
All right. One last thing to share is that we will continue to have Zooms every Thursday at 7. So next week will be for the guys, but we will make sure to post the next Panhellenic Zoom live Q&A. So be sure to follow the social media accounts for that. I'll stop recording so we can upload, but thanks everyone. We hope that you have a great night, and we are so excited to see you in the fall.
Yay!
Bye everybody.
Bye. And for those of y'all on the Instagram